I can absolutely promise you that if you do this wrong, you are going to get to the club, you're going to plug in your USB, and you are going to panic. Hey there, I'm Robert here with learningtodj.com, and today we're going to talk about how to format your USB drive for the purposes of using them with Pioneer CDJs and other forms of Pioneer DJ controllers such as the XZ or RX. We're going to be using Rekordbox, and I'm going to be showing you how to do this on a MacBook, although the steps in Windows are very, very similar, so if you just follow along, you'll be able to follow this. There's also a complete written guide for this to explain how to do this side by side if you feel like you want to read while you watch this video as well. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about the differences between these two formats of libraries called Device Library and Device Library Plus, a new format that Pioneer Alpha Theta recently introduced, the differences between them and why and when each of them are used. First things first, let's talk about why understanding the specific formats for USB drives are important, and I will draw on some of my own personal DJ fails in order to help inform that. So there are two critical properties that you need to format a USB drive with correctly in order to use with CDJs. They are, number one, formatting the USB in FAT32 format or MS-DOS format, and the second is formatting using the master boot record format. You need to format your USB with both of these attributes in order to successfully use your USB with various CDJs, including the CDJ 3000s, 2000 Nexus, Pioneer DJ, XDJ, XZ, or RX controllers, and the like. Now, let me tell you what can happen if you don't do this correctly. I was set to play an opening slot at a rave, and it was my first time ever using CDJ-like consoles. So I formatted my USB using my best knowledge of what I thought it would work, and when I got to the club and I plugged in my USB, we actually spent the first 30 minutes leading up to my set in a complete panic because my USB would not read, my tracks would not read, and I was just in an absolute turmoil about what I could do. Thankfully, everything turned out okay, but don't make yourself look like an amateur like I did in this situation. Make sure you format your USB correctly. So I'm going to be demonstrating on a Mac here, and the first thing that you want to do is you want to plug in your USB into your MacBook, and you're going to see that device appear in the Finder tab. If you're using Windows, it's going to be in the File Explorer, and then you want to open up your Disk Utility tool. You can do that by pressing Command plus space to open up the Spotlight menu and typing in Disk Utility. Disk Utility is basically just a tool or app that allows you to manage hard drives and devices, and in here we are going to go ahead and erase all of the contents of our USB drive. And in doing so, we are going to then reformat the drive to the specified parameters. The reason why we have to do this, or the reason that we want to do this, is that we want to make sure, absolutely sure, that we are formatting with the correct options, which is going to be FAT32 format and master boot record. Even if you're absolutely, 75% sure that you did this, it's worth it just to do it one more time as a sanity check, because unless you have these two parameters, some CDJ devices and some controllers won't be happy with you and they won't actually read your USB. So if I have any doubts, I will also always reformat my entire hard drive and just deal with the syncing time that takes to sync tracks over from Rekordbox. So once you do that, your computer is going to go ahead, it's going to erase all the contents of your hard drive. So make sure that you have a copy of any files on your hard drive that you care about, because they're going to be deleted. And once it's done deleting, it's going to format the hard drive. Once we have the go ahead that our drive has been formatted here, we're going to open up a Rekordbox, and inside a Rekordbox in the left hand side, we're going to see our devices view. In the devices view, we're going to try and find the USB that we just formatted in Disk Utility. Hopefully you named it something easy to find like I did here. And inside that Disk Utility, we are then going to click into the USB, and we're going to open up the sync manager, and we're just going to select the various sync parameters that we want so that we can sync over our playlists and our tracks to this USB. Now, once this happens, depending on how large your library is, this process can actually take quite a while. For some DJs, it can be quick if they have a smaller library. For others, it's on the order of hours, and I have even heard days in some cases. Let your computer sync over the music that you want to have on the USB, and come back a little bit later to verify that the sync process has finished. Once you have completed this process, hopefully you have a pair of CDJs or a compatible controller that you can try this on. In my case, we're going to come over to the XDJ 1000 Mark IIs, and we're going to plug it in, and we're going to see that the CDJ is going to load for a few seconds with the blinking light, and then once the blinking light is done, it's going to turn a solid color, whatever color we selected in the Rekordbox, and then we know that our CDJ is ready to read and use. Now, if you don't have a CDJ or controller that takes USBs, it's a little bit more difficult to test these things. If you have a friend who has a pair of CDJs, or even if you have a local music store near you that sells CDJs or controllers, you might be able to take your USB there and just try it out just to verify if you have a gig coming up, and that can be a helpful way to kind of put your mind at ease. As tracks are syncing over to your USB, you're probably going to notice that Rekordbox has created these two new artifacts in your USB. One is called Device Library and the other is called Device Library Plus. Device Library Plus is a new format that Pioneer recently came out for a lot of their newer models. Pioneer purports that this library format has enhanced data handling, making it much more efficient for modern day setups. Device Library Plus is used only by a selection of Alpha Theta's different models, including the Opus Quad, the Omnis Duo, and the XDJ AZ. Every other piece of Pioneer kit is using the original legacy device library. In any event, we don't need to worry about it because Rekordbox is going to handle all of this for us, so long as we have formatted our USB correctly. If you want to read more about this, you can check out the link in the description to read from the official Rekordbox website what the supported hardware is for the different library format. And that's basically it. So long as we're formatting our USB with FAT32 format and master boot record, we should be good to go to plug into any CDJs. If you found this video and this guide helpful, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We come out with new videos all the time. And be sure to check out learningtodj.com. We have a ton of courses and material on DJ culture, DJ theory, and more. Good luck with your next gig, and I'll see you in the next video.